So we'll start with one of the questions from the attendees, and I believe this is for Andrew. The question is, for smaller catering firms, what would be the key things to look out for when they want to pivot to RTE or RTH?
Okay, I think for RTE, you must have the equipment. For example, the blast freezer, that is essential for doing RTE product because you really want your food to be very fresh, freshly made, deep freeze, and then uh, package it nicely and market it. So that is essential. I think that the rest is quite easy.
Okay, thank you so much, Andrew. We have another question here for Nicholas. Nicholas, there is a question about the role of robotics in the hospitality industry and also your plan for the next 5 years of EasyBot. Would you like to share a little bit about that?
Sure, of course. Okay, so for the hospitality portion, first of all, we believe that the role for robotics, it has many roles. So one of the roles in hospitality that we can actually think of is actually to provide a transportation, a simple transportation, because transportation is a very repetitive task. So like the F&B, the transportation from the kitchen to the customer area, it may be maybe a 50-meter difference, but taking a step back, 50 meters times the amount of times they have to actually do it is actually a lot. So having a robotic solution can actually replace all these repetitive transportation of maybe goods or even food. Okay, so I hope that answers the hospitality part. And what is the plan for EasyBot in 5 years and what is there to improve, right? Okay, so of course, first of all, we are actually promoting robotics in hospitality and F&B itself. So actually, we are planning to bring in more robotics for the hospitality industry, which actually we start off with F&B, which is these service robots that actually helps to deliver the foods. So next, we actually thought of actually bringing in probably robots for the hotels as well, and even for hospital. We believe the food server robot has a use case in the hospital as well. So another robot that we actually thought of bringing in is of course the back of house solution that such as the robotic automated cooker, which we believe because cooking is actually it also can be considered as a repetitive task. I know some may argue that it takes skills. That I would totally agree, but ultimately, all these skills can be replicated in robotics through fine tuning, and we believe with that fine tuning, it can achieve consistency in food. So what do I believe the company still needs to improve? So for this question, I mean for us, I think we would like to bring in more case study and work with more establishments to actually build up more robotic case studies so that we can actually showcase the usage of automations, and of course to help the F&B industry. Okay.
Thank you so much, Nicholas.
No problem.
I do agree that the role of robotics will definitely become increasingly significant in the hospitality industry, especially when we face a huge manpower challenge. I have a next question here regarding ordering platforms, and maybe I would like to invite Michael to answer this question. The question is, when will be the right time to give up a new ordering platform and look for another one? What will be an indicator to perhaps use to say that it's time to change our ordering platforms?
When your whole ordering platform not making money, then you start looking for new ones. I think typically that is the way to go about it. One of the recent research that we have done together with NUS, Professor Kimes from NUS, she's a visiting professor from Cornell University. We did both an operator study and a consumer study on delivery platform. So we have shared some of these findings. By and large, for operator jumping on board delivery platform, there are actually a lot of consideration, which relates to the point of whether, while some of them jump on board delivery platform as an alternative mode, some do make money, but quite a number of them end up realizing that they don't really make money at all, and then started to get away from delivery platform. End of the day, I think a lot of factors come into play. So every business really needs to look at the whole business model, where is your positioning in terms of what's the target audience that you are trying to go for, and not an easy question to answer in one shot. But typically, if you don't make money on this platform, you're start looking for another one.
All right, thank you so much, Michael. It seems like when it comes to platforms, there's a lot of trial and error in the whole process as well. During the webinar, we discussed a lot about digitalization. And so I just wanted to ask, this question that is open to all panelists. Many people think about digitalization from a hardware perspective, but as a restaurateur, I find that successful implementation also involves the hardware. After all, F&B is still a people's business. So I just want to open up this question to all the panelists. How else do you think we can continue to maintain the human touch in this digital era?
I guess this question is for me. Okay, I think for restaurant business, definitely the human touch is still preferred. But in the era when manpower shortage is really very serious, especially in the case of Singapore, and it is to be expected that even after the pandemic, long after the pandemic is over, the manpower shortage is here to stay. So we really have to change the way we do business. Otherwise, your manpower costs will just keep spiraling up, and eventually you won't be able to make any money. So I think there should be a differentiation. In the case of fine dining, people must be prepared to pay more to enjoy personalized service. But in the case of a fast casual, then one should not expect a lot of human touch, because you're not paying a lot for the service. So I think for the fine dining, the human touch is still very essential. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrew. I really like your point about differentiation and how customers also need to manage their expectations across different segments of the restaurant types. Eugene, I see that you have unmuted your mic. Would you like to add anything?
Oh, yes, I'd like to add. We also recognize, aside from digitalization, we also recognize the workers. Without our talented workers, the restaurateurs or proprietors would be at a loss. And I believe we should continue value the employees' presence. I know this is some difficult time. We need to we had to lessen some of them. But nevertheless, whoever remains, we need to be very understanding with their needs. In the Philippines, we look after also their, like anyone else, their pay, their convenience in commuting, and medical concerns as well to a certain extent. And if we as proprietors recognize these points, then I'm sure our employees will perform well. Will perform well not only for us proprietors, but also for the customers. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you, Eugene. So we'll have time for one last question. And this question is also open to all panelists. Michael, earlier in your sharing, you talked about how in Singapore, we are preparing to deal with this pandemic as one that's endemic. And, besides digitalization, I'm just thinking, what else do companies, whether they are in F&B or hospitality, what else do they need to know or to prepare themselves to be future ready?
Is this a question for me?
To open to all.
Be
Michael, maybe
future
you
ready.
can. Yeah.
I think throughout the session today, there are many areas being covered. While keeping an eye on customer centricity, meaning end of day, whether you are in a food kiosk, restaurant, cafe, it's the quality of the food, right? The bare minimum, not bare minimum, the most important thing is the quality of the food, right? Your food is good, people repeatedly come back to you. The value proposition is good, people repeatedly come to you. The rest of it are just enabler, helping you to enable your business to be more efficient, to reduce your cost so that you can provide better value. So I think it is a continuous improvement part. The last booster shot that I was talking about. So that booster shot is, every year I have to take booster shot. So every year is a continuous improvement. So that's a reminder that always look for continuous improvement. Yeah.
Okay, let me add, Andrew here. I think other than the digitization, of course, there are many other things in the restaurant business. For example, I mentioned just now about going lean, manpower lean operation. That is the future of restaurant because of the manpower shortage. And also to keep our menu simple and manageable. So don't have to produce everything yourself. Yeah. So, there are many manufacturers, small manufacturers in Singapore, which can help you to produce a lot of things. So outsource whenever you can. And also the future of restaurant business would be a combination of dine-in, online, and even retail, which I also mentioned in my presentation just now. And the trend moving forward is also towards healthier dining with plant-based slowly taking center stage, right? So we have to take care of our environment and use biodegradable lunchbox or this for tapao and cutlery, and all these will be the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. So thank you so much, Michael, Eugene, and Nicholas as well. We've definitely learned so much from all of you today about digitalization. So many nuggets of wisdom that even I will also start to apply in my business. So if you've enjoyed the sharing today, we would also like to invite everyone to join us at Restaurant Asia 2021, happening this year from 18th to 20th November. There will be a symposium as well in this restaurant association where I'm sure that we can learn a lot